and we are at our last session here for the scuba diving webinars done by the Department of Tourism and by ADEX. Very exciting because our last location is Bohol, one of the very famous locations for tourists here in the Philippines, and I'm sure everyone is excited to find out what is the situation there. Can we go visit? What do we need to prepare? And yes, and I'm very happy to share that the director, the regional director from the Department of Tourism for Region 7 has been with us since 1 p.m. and he's here if you guys have any questions. Hi, Director. Yes, and we're all very excited to have you guys over back in the province and the region of Central Visayas and Region 7. So actually, today is really exciting because I'm sure a lot of you have already visited Bohol. We have two speakers with us today. One is from the main island, who's, their establishment is on the main island, and one is actually in one of the more uncharted areas of Bohol. So it's going to be very exciting to learn more about this. But first, let me introduce the first speaker. We have Allan Santos, the General Manager of Bohol Beach Club. Hello, Allan and team. Hello, yes. Would it be okay if you guys unmute for a while so that I can shift the floor over to you guys? Okay.
There you go.
Perfect. Yes.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, let's start with our presentation.
All right, so good afternoon from Bohol. My name is Allan. I'm the manager of Bohol Beach Club, one of the resorts here in Bohol, actually in the island of Panglao. And together with me are the board members of PADU. PADU is the Panglao Association of Dive Operators. And I'll be explaining a bit about our friends later during the course of the presentation. So if I may, excuse me a bit, I will be sharing my presentation just so that everybody can see what we are talking about. And let me just go to the main screen. There you go. All right. So again, good afternoon. And is everything okay? Can you guys see the screen sharing?
It's all good. Thank you.
All right. Great. Excellent. So thank you very much again for the opportunity for us to be able to present Bohol to everyone. It's late afternoon here in Bohol, and to those who are watching from the other parts of the world, good morning or good afternoon. So you mentioned, Vanessa mentioned that some of you may have been to Bohol before, but some of you may not have been to Bohol before. So we will just be giving you a quick geographical lesson with regards to where Bohol is at. So of course we have the Philippines right there on your screen, and Bohol is actually located in the Central Visayas, which is basically almost in the middle of the country. And as you can see there, encircled is the island of Bohol, and enlarged on the right side would be a larger picture of what the island would look like. So if you notice that you'll have a little island called Panglao on the lower left side and the main island of Bohol on the right side. So Bohol is made up of several islands, Panglao being, I would say, the main island where tourism originates, because the airport, or the international airport, is located in the island of Panglao. Of course, there are other attractive attractions as well in the main island, such as Anda, wherein our speaker will be speaking about Anda later, but we'll be focusing on Panglao at the moment. So basically, Bohol is an island province of the Philippines, again located in the Central Visayas. We are under Region 7, and Bohol is actually the 10th largest island in the country with a coastline of about 261 kilometers. There's about 7,100 plus islands in the Philippines, and we are the 10th largest, so that's something nice to note. There is a very long coastline, so that's something nice as well, because we are surrounded by a beautiful sea and really beautiful beaches. Now, on a larger scale, you will be seeing the island of Panglao right on your screen right now. And I would like to highlight accessibility to the island of Bohol, because this is an advantage that we have, and the tourists can take advantage of as well. Because for one, we just opened an international airport in the island of Panglao. So basically, the airport would be about 5, 8, 10, 15 minutes away to the best resorts in the island of Panglao. and the beautiful beaches as well. So accessibility wise, you can fly in from and take an international flight, come into Manila, and from Manila fly directly to Panglao. Now, you also have accessibility through sea because we do have a seaport that connects to Cebu. So if you are flying to Cebu, you can actually connect from Cebu directly to Tagbilaran City, the capital of Bohol, and it's a 2-hour ferry ride, very comfortable. It seems like 2 hours is a long trip, but it's not. It's the ferries are very comfortable, and they're very clean, and they have international standards. So that's something to take note of. Here you see in the screen right now is the accessibility to Bohol prior COVID. So what we want to show you is that prior COVID, there were many ways of getting to Bohol. As mentioned earlier, Bohol is one of the best and famous tourist destinations in the Philippines. That's why accessibility is quite good. If you allow me to just go to them really quick, just so that they have an idea of what was going on prior COVID and what can happen when things get a lot better. So when things go back to normal, I think all these sites will be coming in once again. So you can connect from Clark, that's north of Manila, to Bohol. There used to be several flights per week, actually daily flights. Of course, from Manila to Panglao, they used to have about 13 flights every day at an average. We also can connect to El Nido. There are flights from Panglao to El Nido. They used to have it 4 times weekly. Now on the right side, you will see from Cebu to Panglao, we do have ferries, and there were a lot of ferries that come in. And the earliest would be at about 5 o'clock departing Cebu, and the latest would be departing at about 6 or 7 o'clock, departing from Bohol to Cebu. We used to have flights as well from Cebu to Panglao. There used to be an airplane that it was a 15-minute, very comfortable flight. I took that once, and it was something that it was a good experience. There are connecting flights as well to Cagayan de Oro, down in Mindanao, and Davao as well, where they have an international airport. So what I'm trying to say is that there are many ways to get to Bohol. And we were taking advantage of this prior COVID. And now that COVID is here, we're taking it easy a bit. But we're pretty sure that when things get better, everything will go back to normal, and these flights will be coming in again. Now, we'll be focusing on the dive attractions, obviously, but just let me explain that we're happy that Bohol is gifted with numerous dive sites that can cater to beginners and long-time dive enthusiasts. Another advantage of Bohol is the convenience of reaching its dive sites, as traveling time is very minimal, giving divers more time to do what they like best. Obviously, you don't want to travel, or you don't want to be stuck in a car for 2 hours. You want to dive. So Bohol is just very ideal for that. The vast underwater attractions in each dive site in the island gives divers a variety of experiences, from large schools of fish, big diversity of corals, macro marine life, and many more. Aside from having one of the best dive spots in the Philippines, the only double barrier reef in the country is located in the island. So one of only 3 such sites in the Indo-Pacific. The reef is spread across almost 130 kilometers and consists of 3 large reefs located in the northwest of Bohol. So there's really a lot of things that we are thankful for, and these are things that we want to share with you guys. So diving in Bohol is just very ideal. Here you have in the screen is a little map, a dive map of Bohol, and it shows you that we have around 18 identified dive sites at the moment. So you'll have like island dives, you'll have Balikasag on the lower left side, which is one of the best dive sites in the Philippines. You'll have Pamilacan Island on the lower right side of the map, which is a very beautiful dive site as well. I would say it would be good for those advanced divers, because sometimes the current can be strong. But then again, it's one of those things that when you go and see it, it's just something that it's very unforgettable. Now, I mentioned earlier that accessibility is very ideal for the divers here in Bohol. It's because that the dive sites are around 30 to 45 minutes away from any given point in Panglao. So that's one of the advantages that you have. Again, divers want to dive. You don't want to be stuck in a car traveling to a dive site, or stuck in a boat for a long time traveling to a dive site. The good thing about Panglao and the good thing about Bohol is that the dive sites are very, very close to the island itself. And these are very nice dive sites. We do have Kabilao on the upper part of the map, which is one of the best dive sites in Bohol as well. And you have other things to see in the dive sites really close to the island of Panglao. You can see number 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. All these dive sites have different things to offer. So each dive site has its own speciality, and each dive site you will see different things. Let me go forward to our next screen. So we are highlighting Balikasag over here, and let me just play the video clips really quick, just so that you can see what's going on. So you'll have some jack in the upper left corner. You'll have a big mouth mackerel in the lower left corner. Of course, you'll have your resident turtles in Balikasag. Now, these turtles are very friendly. They're used to divers coming over because, again, Balikasag is one of the best dive sites in the Philippines, and we do have a turtle sanctuary there wherein these turtles reside. So it's almost a guaranteed sighting to see these turtles when you go diving in Bohol. The good thing about, despite the fact that it sounds like a lot of tourists come to Balikasag Island, the guys behind me from PADO are doing their best to make sure that everything is sustainable. So they're coming up with all these new rules and regulations just to make sure that everything will be sustainable. So things that you see now will be the same or even better 5, 10 years from now. So those are the nice things that we're doing here in Bohol just to ensure that everything will be okay and everything is sustainable for the future. Let me go to our next attraction. Let me see. Sorry about that. Okay, Pamilatan. Pamilatan is one of the islands I mentioned earlier, and very good visibility. I would say that the guys behind me would be more competent in explaining Pamilatan. So if you have any questions later, they would be more than happy to address this. I know during my last dive here that the current is a little bit strong and challenging, but then again, um, as a diver, we should be looking forward to new things. So these are challenges that we should be looking forward to. Next thing I want to show you would be this. This is Napaling, where we do have the sardine run. So we do have our own sardine run here in Bohol, in Panglao. As you can see, it's a very healthy area. So this area is just famous for sardines. So it's a shore and you dive when you go to Napaling. It's very convenient, very easy dive, very shallow dive. So it's open to beginners and the veterans as well, if I may say so. Okay, so let me talk about the Panglao Association of Dive Operators. As I mentioned earlier, the guys behind me wearing these very attractive uniforms make up the Panglao Association of Dive Operators. Let me explain who they are. So in the interest of sustainable tourism and the goal of a strong partnership with the private sector, the municipality of Panglao, through the leadership of our current mayor, Leonila Montero, has accredited PADO, or the Panglao Association of Dive Operators, as the duly registered and accredited dive organization in the island. So furthermore, all establishments engaged in the business of diving within the municipality of Panglao are mandated to participate and cooperate in marine conservation and environmental protection by requiring themselves to be a member of PADO. So these guys have a very good thing in mind with the cooperation of the local government. They're trying to do their best to make sure that everything is sustainable. We take care of the environment. Of course, we get to enjoy what to see underwater, but then again, we have to take care of these things. These are God-given, and these things we should take care of. It's good. The good thing about what they've been doing during the pandemic is they've been uh, keeping themselves busy doing coral transplanting and all these things. So if you're interested to know more about what they've been doing, you can ask them questions later, and they'll be more than glad to let you know what they've been doing to make sure that everything will be good and sustainable here in Bohol when you come over. This is their logo right here. So it says that it's for the environment, level playing field in business, and of course, happiness. We want to make sure it's a win-win-win situation. How do I say that? Win because you guys as tourists come over and dive. you want to make sure you get your money's worth. You want to make sure that you see the best that Bohol has to offer. Win number two is for us operators, of course, because we're doing this, of course, as a business and because we like what we're doing. And number three, win for the environment because we want to make sure that despite the fact that we go diving and go underwater and see all these corals and all these marine life, we want to make sure that we are responsible divers. We want to make sure that we take care of the environment. So we say that it is a win-win-win or a triple win situation for us here in Pado. So here we see the flow chart or organizational chart of PADO, just so that you have an idea of who comprises the organization. So you have Miss Ivy behind me, who is the president, and she also is the owner of Deep Blue Dive Resort. We have Edgar, also here in the panel, vice president of the association, and he is working with the Club Aqua Sports or the dive shop here in Bohol Beach Club. Of course, we have Anna, Frelin, and Pelayo over here. So they are part of the board of directors of PADO as well. So these guys make up the association, and they make sure that everything's properly run. Aside from them, they have support, of course. They have the Committee on Environment, the Committee on Conciliation, and the Committee on Membership. So you have all these dive operators and dive shops working together just to make sure that everything's properly taken care for. You have a safe dive, and the rules and regulations are properly followed and taken care for. And of course, doing things to make sure that the environment is a continuous thing. It's a sustainable thing. So you have all these projects that they've been doing, and if again you have questions, they can explain this to you later. Let me go to our next slide. So okay, Vanessa mentioned earlier with regards to what is happening in Bohol. The good thing is that we have opened our doors recently to domestic travel. So there are domestic flights coming in from Manila, going to Bohol on a daily basis, and that's something that we are very happy about. In terms of foot traffic, there are not a lot of tourists yet, but on the other hand, we have to start somewhere. So this is a good start. We have to start on the right foot. We took things slowly, but despite the fact that we're taking things slowly, we want to make sure that we're taking the right steps to make sure that everything is taken care for and everything is safe. So let me just explain to you some of the guidelines on the operation of dive shops and how we do things here under the new normal. So only dive establishments with valid PCSSD accreditation are permitted to accommodate recreational diving under GCQ. GCQ is a general community quarantine for those of you who are participating who are not from the Philippines. And actually, the Bohol is under a better category right now. We call it MGCQ or Modified General Community Quarantine. So it means that we're doing much better. In fact, in the island of Panglao, we have zero COVID cases. So that's something that we're very proud of as well, and we're trying to take care of. In case that there is a dive shop, which is an ancillary establishment to a bigger establishment, such as a resort or a hotel, the resort or hotel should have a certificate of authority to operate from the Department of Tourism. So next, they're very strict with in terms of diving here. So all dive reservations should be coursed through the MenRO or the Municipal Environment and Natural Resources Office. So again, the local government is trying to make sure that everything is properly taken care for. There's no overcrowding, and everybody follows the rules and regulations. Dive shop operator should be in compliance of the requirements implemented by the municipality. So we have the LGU of Panglao, who is cooperating and very supportive of the private establishment. So we're very happy with that. Dive shop should operate at 50% capacity or 50% of its boat capacity. So it's something that we're putting in place as well, just to make sure that everybody's safe. Individuals of all ages from GCQ and MGCQ areas are allowed to go recreational diving in Bohol. So that's something that is advantageous to the divers and the tourists. Of course, you can't be pregnant or you can't be under comorbidity wherein you're prone to sickness. But other than that, if you're 100% healthy, then you can go diving. Divers originating from areas outside the province of Bohol are required to submit a negative RT-PCR test 72 hours at least prior the scheduled arrival in Bohol. So this is something that we're very strict about, just because we want to make sure that the Panglao and the cases of COVID in Bohol are very controlled. So again, it may be a hassle, but it's actually not, because it ensures you that everything is okay during your stay in Bohol. So for diver-specific policies, so these are the policies that the PADU has put in place to make sure that divers follow rules and regulations, just to make sure that the COVID cases are in control. If a diver is a recovered COVID-19 individual, he or she has to submit a certificate, a doctor certificate from a dive or hyperbaric doctor. Guests should be briefed and reminded of hand washing, the practice of physical distancing, and wearing a face mask. So I guess this is a standard all over the world. As far as practicable, guests are encouraged to bring their own scuba gear. Guests are encouraged to bring their own gear box with cover. If not, the establishment should be able to provide this to the divers. The dive establishment shall provide a rinsing tank with disinfectant solution, properly marked as to the content. The dive establishment shall also provide a defog solution consisting of soap or shampoo. And the dive establishment shall inform the guests that they're required to bring reusable plastic or water-resistant bags for their things, just to make sure that everything is properly taken care of for, and to seal, of course, their belongings. Now, the guest admission for dive shops. These are minimum health protocols for dive shops in the island of Panglao in Bohol. Wearing a face mask is required when entering a dive facility. All guests must be screened prior entry to the dive establishment. So how do we do this? Body temperature checking, completion of health declaration cards, or whenever tourists come to Bohol, you are given a QR code, card or a QR code, wherein every establishment you go to, you have to present this and you have to be scanned, just to make sure that you went through all the protocols prior arriving in Bohol. So only guests cleared during screening shall be allowed to enter. Of course, those with COVID symptoms, fever, flu, and cough will be asked to probably take a rest and not go diving during that day. All guests are required to step on a sanitation mat, which is a standard as well. Guest contact personnel should be wearing face mask and glove at all times. Of course, physical distancing, hand hygiene, and respiratory etiquette must be strictly observed at all times. And lastly, guests must be provided with appropriate information of the prevailing disease. So those are things that we've been doing here in Bohol, just to make sure that you guys will be okay. Let me just show you quickly a health protocol video that we have here in our resort and here in our dive shop, just to give an idea of how we do things. Sorry about that. Oops. Here we go. that was our health protocol video. We do have other videos here about the destinations and the dive bars as well in Bohol. But I know that our friend from Anda will be doing her presentation as well. So if we do have time later, maybe we can go back to the Bohol promotional video. But in the meantime, I'd like to make sure also that our friend from Anda will have the opportunity to be able to explain what they have to offer there from their side of Bohol. So let me just get off my share screen and go back to you guys. So there you have it. So thank you, Vanessa, for the opportunity, and I'll be returning it back to you.
Thank you so much for giving us all that information, especially that you cleared up what's been happening over there in Bohol and the protocols that need to be done to reach your side of the island. Now, without further ado, let me introduce the next speaker. And just to remind everyone that if you have any questions, we have a Q&A after, so you can type that up in the chat box below or in the Q&A section. Okay, so for our next speaker, we have the Director for Sales and Marketing of Amun Beach Resort and Spa. Let's welcome Biggs Eggert. Hello.
Hi, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon.
Evening already here. Yeah.
Evening for you already, for sure. But I'm currently at the moment in the Netherlands, so it's a little bit early in the morning and a little bit colder than the sunny, amazing Philippines.
Okay.
So I would like to show everyone, thanks to Allan, he's represented Bohol amazingly and explained everything, what the new normal is in order to get to us on the island. So I will not repeat that again. So thanks, Allan. That's terrific what you've done. I will take you on a nice journey a little bit away from Panglao. So we are 2 hours away. You see my shared screen here. Allan is located in Bohol Beach Club down here in this area. And we are basically having a 2-hour amazing drive along a beautiful coastline from Bohol on a specific place called Anda. So Amun ini is basically on a little outlet of the island of Bohol, and we are basically owning these 2 bays here. The resort is located we have 16 rooms, so it's very remote and very secluded on a private white sand beach. There you can see it as well. So it really looks like you're on another island on an island, so to speak. It's a very personalized run resort. And on this photo, especially you can see the white buoys here. We also have a marine protected area. So it is really a well taken care of place underwater and above the water. The owners, Federico Carmona, has basically placed the resort so it is blending in and it's very hard to see even from the ocean when you pass it. These are the rooms. I will tell you a little bit about the resort first, and then we go into the diving. We have 16 rooms. Everything inside and outside the room is done out of Philippine manufacturers, local arts and crafts. So there is nothing imported. Actually, everything is mostly done on the island or within the Philippines. You can see the interior of the rooms, that it's all nature inspired and Philippine inspired. They're oversized 60 square meter rooms. You can actually see from the bathroom here while you're brushing your teeth through a beautiful window into our amazing ocean. We have a small little spa as well for the non-divers or people after diving who would like to relax. And the food, the owner's daughter and son-in-law are well-trained chefs. So the food is next to none. It's really incredible what sustainable food we have. And we can cater for anything. I always say, unless somebody's asking for a Swiss cheese fondue, we can do anything there is to offer. We also do tours on the island. So Bohol is very famous as well for the tarsier monkeys, as you can see them there, the smallest primates, as well as the beautiful chocolate hills. So a lot of people come to Panglao, do the chocolate hills, tarsier monkeys, and then maybe have a few days with us a little bit further away for some diving. You can do zip lining, zip biking, everything. So for non-divers, it's really an adventure island. We have also about 45 minutes away from our resort, we have rice terraces and waterfalls where we do half-day tours to it. And this is the dive operation at the resort. It's directly on the beach. Everything is completely oversized. We actually just, during the pandemic, now in the last 9 months, the entire staff turned the dive shop roof in a 650 square meter sun deck roof in order to also give more social distancing while lounging and relaxing. Our dive shop briefing area is very big. We also have a very oversized camera room and equipment area. We have 38 dive sites. Amun is right in the middle of it. I opened the dive operation there 8 years ago. So the first few years, we actually almost saw never anybody in the water. So it is really remote. Not many dive resorts are there. And the diving is really spectacular. The top of the wall is about 3 to 6 meters. And it's literally a forest of soft corals, hard corals, and you will always see turtles there. So we have one dive site called Turtle Point right out front, and a minimum of 10 turtles on every snorkel or dive. You also, the dive sites then go from the top of the reef, go down the wall is about 18, maximum 30 meters into white sand. And as the Philippines is in the Coral Triangle and we have the most species there is on the planet, we are macro heaven as well as anywhere you can find in the Philippines. We also have the whale sharks coming by, going on the migration path to southern Leyte. We have frogfish and any critter you can think of as well. So we are very good for snorkeling tours and for beginner divers as well as very experienced divers. We have, as you can see here, mandarin fish. We have them directly at the house reef. So we're actually doing 2 dives in the morning, 2 dives in the afternoon, and a mandarin fish dive at 5 p.m. As they only come out to mate when the sun is going down. And we have night dives at 6 o'clock. So anyone can choose from any of the above. We're also very well known for our 7 to 8 different species of octopus. So a lot of people come to us and explore our octopus mating season in May. And then you have the rest of the octopus season between October, November, December. Again, super macro shots. So all the famous photographers, it's their little hideaway as well, because Anda is very unknown. So once they jump in the water, they're all always ask us, why didn't we know about this place earlier? So it is still a nice little hidden gem. We have a lot of pygmy seahorses on every sea fan, they're still there. We work together with the iSeahorse project, actually, and we encourage our divers and give them a briefing not to take more than 3 to 5 images per pygmy seahorses because they do not have eyelids. So we do not like photographers to stand in front of a pygmy seahorse and flash them for 1 hour or so. So we actually tap them and move on to the next sea fan, as we have lots of them and we want to preserve and make sure they're still available for everyone to see in the future. Everything is done. We have 3 dive boats. So we have 2 big bunker boats, as you can see, one of our boats there, and we have a speed boat. So for all of you who know the Philippines, it's one of the most incredible boats to dive off. It's very spacious, top deck, very easy to jump off, and we give full service. So our dive guides take your fins off, all your equipment off before you go back onto the boat. We also have full face mask courses, and we teach any course from Discover Scuba all the way up to instructor courses on SSI. We have communication on full face mask, as well as we have snorkeling tours. So due to the fact that we have a very shallow, beautiful reef, we get a lot of non-divers basically doing snorkeling tours with 4 snorkelers together with one of our dive guides. Actually, out of our 8 dive guides, 5 of them are marine biologists, which we have adopted, so to speak, from the local marine biology school and trained them all the way through to dive guides. So they will actually communicate through the communication system on our full face masks and explain everything while people are snorkeling of what to see along the coastline. Then we have created a few years in 2015 marine protected area together with the BISU, where our local marine biologists come from, and the local government, to do a coral restoration area. So we always ask our guests to participate, and it's actually one of their most favorite dives they do, by planting corals and assisting us. This program is being super successful, and actually the Philippines has 6 or 7 projects in the Philippines for coral restoration, and we are one of the most successful one, because we are heavily guarded even at night to make sure no illegal fishing is done, and we take care of it. So we are very proud of this project, and see, even in a small space, what you can do. Our marine biodiversity has doubled within the last 5 years. You see big fish jumping, and lots of schools of fish actually have now a space where they can easily breed before they venture out to the open seas. So we encourage everyone to assist us by planting corals together with our marine biologists. So we give everyone a nice presentation and explain the different ways of how you can plant corals, as you can see here. So we have different structures where we tried different methods of how to do it. We also, as you could see in the bottom left, we recycled the wine bottles, which we cannot use, and giving back to anywhere, which are the new homes for octopus or fish. Also, like Allan explained, we all had to adapt to a new normal. So we have all our COVID-19 protocol also in Amun, and it's all based on the local government health regulations, PCSSD, Department of Tourism, and Department of Health. So all our guests basically are taken care of from the moment we pick them up till the moment they enter the resort, throughout the diving. So we really have taken large steps to assure that everyone feels safe that comes to Amun, and basically that all COVID procedures has been put in place in order to make everyone feel a home away from home, as we always say, and have incredible dives and feel safe in these uncertain times. As you can see, we have a 300-meter wide private sand beach. It is great we have kayaks, we have stand-up paddle boards. So in order to accommodate for divers and not the non-diving partners or just snorkeling, everything is basically there. It's a little opposite as of Panglao. Panglao, you can venture out and go to different restaurants. If you're in Amun, the main town of the island there is called Anda, and that's about 7 kilometers away. So it's about 5-10 minute drive. But other than that, basically everything happens within the resort. So most people don't even leave the resort unless they're doing excursions. So it's a very beautiful place. We have a lot of repeat guests because I always say once Philippines, always Philippines. I've entered the Philippines 15 years ago and call this more my home than anything else on the planet. There's nothing more rewarding than working together with all our Filipino staff. No matter what happens, they always have a smile on their face. And one of the most incredible things is they remember your name within 5 seconds, and 2 years later, they still remember everybody's names and how they like their coffee. So it's really a blessing to work together with the Philippine culture and provide especially our marine biologists and the local staff an income through tourism. And we all hope that this will be back to normal very soon, as the entire world is suffering. But I always say it happens for a reason, so we have to make the best out of it. In the last 9 months since we were closed, we basically improved the resort a little bit, made more social distancing places. Like I said, we made a new sun deck, 650 square meters. Our dive guides actually went out and taught most local kids from our staff swimming, because usually 90% of Filipinos cannot swim. So as the parents are at home, we like to do something. So we've made swimming classes with our swim instructors, which was also very rewarding and very successful. But we are ready to welcome everybody. At the moment, Panglao is open for the travel bubble. Anda is still not included. I think it hopefully will come in the next couple of weeks, as we're all ready and prepared for welcoming even the local tourism, so to speak. Yeah, that was my presentation basically on a beautiful place 2 hours away from Panglao, called Amunini. For you guys who might have the question, what does Amunini stands for? Amunini is the local language or Ilongo for this is our home. So when you come to us, we basically welcome you home. And that's why most people say it's a home away from home.
Okay, thank you so much, Biggs. That was a beautiful presentation as well. As mentioned, a lot of us have already explored the island of Bohol, Panglao, and in that area. So it was very nice to hear more about the islands that are more out of the beaten path, you know? And it was very nice to see a little glimpse of that. Actually, we have a question for you, or it's not really a question. Somebody from the Gaia Adventure is asking for your details because I think they have a travel agency and they would like to connect with you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, and I would also like to acknowledge her email address is here in the chat group, so just in case you want to grab it over here. Also, I'd like to acknowledge that the director has been with us. If you have any questions for him, let us know or type it up. He is the director of regional director of the Department of Tourism here in Region 7, Central Visayas. So it's been very exciting, and we have about 10 to 15 minutes. Hello, Director. Thank you for showing up really quickly. Hello. Hi, thank you again. Our director is also an avid scuba diver and has been visiting these different locations. So he's been with us this whole afternoon sharing, the favorite parts of this region. Now, I just have a few questions for you guys. Just to confirm, this will go to both Biggs and Allan. So the new requirements and protocols for Bohol, Panglao Island is currently open to domestic and local tourists, meaning people from Manila and different parts of the Philippines can come in to Panglao, but the islands or the outskirts of Bohol has not yet been approved, but we are waiting for it to be given the go signal. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And then the protocols, just in case we just want to, remind all the guests who are interested in doing this travel, is you need a PCR test that is negative for 72 hours before your flight. And then once you get into Bohol, could you remind us, Allan, if there's a quarantine or anything required?
Okay, so thank you for that question, Vanessa. It's a good opportunity for us to be able to explain to everybody how things are done here in Bohol for tourists. So since December 15, the Department of Tourism has announced that Bohol is open for tourists coming from Manila. So as I said earlier, flights are coming in on a daily basis from Manila. Some of the requirements are, number one, a negative result PCR test taken 72 hours prior arrival in Bohol. So what happens is that once you get your negative PCR test from Manila or from wherever you're coming from, you submit this to the provincial government through email. And together with that, you will need to have a confirmed room reservation in an accredited resort here in Panglao, specifically. Once you have these two, you will be required to submit the both papers to the provincial government, the tourism office of the provincial government. Then they will issue you a QR code. So this QR code is what you will be using once you get to Panglao. So once you hit the airport in Panglao and get off the airplane, somebody from the airport will need to scan you, which shows that you have arrived and entered the island, and so forth and so on. Once you get to the hotel is required to scan you as well, just to show or to record that you are already in the resort at whatever time you come in, and so forth and so on, just to make sure that all your movements are monitored. Aside from that, you are also required to submit the same papers to the local government of Panglao. Once you do that, they will issue a acceptance letter. So these are the two things that you have to do to come into Bohol. To make things easier, actually, Vanessa, if I may just also say that The requirements are in our website. So if you go to the homepage of boholbeachclub.com.ph, on the bottom part of the homepage, there's a button there that says coming to Bohol. So once you click that, all the requirements are there. It's basically a checklist, and it's a clickable. There are clickable links also, so it's very easy. Once you click the link, it will go to the provincial government tourism office. Once you click another link, it will go to the Panglao tourism office. So it makes things easier for our guests to book with us. So yes, we are open as long as you provide the required papers. Now, really quick as well. At the moment, tourists are allowed to stay a maximum of 6 days in Bohol without quarantine. So as long as you have a negative RT-PCR test and you're issued a QR code, once you get to Bohol, that will be day 1, and you have to depart on day 6. If you want to stay longer, you may do so, but you will need to get another RT-PCR test in Bohol, of course, with a negative result. So you can stay longer, more than 6 days, provided you need to take another RT-PCR test in Bohol. But if you're staying for 6 days or less, you don't need to do so. You can just leave the island, check out using your QR code, and you'll be all right. So for now, those are the things that's going on.
So there is. So just to confirm again, you are allowed to go to Bohol and stay up to 6 days without, and you can even stay shorter, maybe 2 days, 3 days if you prefer.
Yes, yes, without the need for quarantine. Prior opening, we would accept local residents of Bohol coming back to the province, but you need to undergo a 14-day quarantine. Not anymore. If you're a tourist, again, provided you stay 6 days or less and submit a negative RT-PCR test when you arrive in Bohol. So I think it's something that can be worked on really well.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Gaia. Do you offer tests for guests on the return day as per our home country request for the international guests that we would be expecting to arrive in the international airport of Bohol?
All right. I think this is something that we will have to refer to the provincial government, because there are RT-PCR test sites in the island. So that should not be a problem. If you need to get an RT-PCR test in Bohol, it is readily available. And the results come out within 24 to 48 hours maximum. So it's nothing that you shouldn't be worrying about that. Other than that, in Terminal 3 in Manila, there is also a RT-PCR test site in the airport in Manila. So again, if you need to get that prior to going back to your home country, when things get better, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, that's perfect. And thank you for letting us know, especially as everyone in the industry and the government is trying to push for opening up tourism locally, domestically, and internationally. So thank you for sharing those steps. I have a question. Yeah, thank you. By the way, for both speakers, please read some of the comments on the chat, because we have some inquiries regarding your resorts, and they would like to get your details and your decks. So there are some. Yes. Okay. And then we have a few minutes left for questions. I would just like to give this one to Biggs. What is the best season or time to visit your area?
Actually, I will tell you the time which is not perfect to come. That's probably easier, which is July, August, for only for Amunini, because we are the wind direction in direction of Habagat, which is the typhoon season winds. So once the winds are changing, we have onshore winds. That's the only 2 months, and this year we didn't even have it. So it's just a 50-50 from a diving point of view. We can still dive on the back of this island, of the side. But Panglao is different, because Panglao has a lot more dive sites and which are more protected. But for us, we are facing in the Habagat direction of the monsoon winds to come.
Okay, and then other than those months, you recommend that you have good year-long diving in your area.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. So any other day, and like I said, as long as the people are aware that you might have 1 or 2 days of wind. Even when a typhoon comes over, they usually hit the Philippines, go up north. So we have blue sky and just have a little bit of wind 1 or 2 days where it might be challenging to go diving out the front. But other than that, it's absolutely no problem. It's almost an all year round destination.
Okay, perfect. So I think if we have no more questions, I will give you maybe a few more minutes to type up anything. But Biggs, we already know the protocols for Bohol and Panglao. Where will you be announcing the protocols for how to when things open up around your area? How will we know? Where will you announce it?
We will announce it and have it already on the Facebook, and we will have it on our website. So as soon as the travel bubble will open towards Anda as well. I mean, we had Department of Tourism, everybody was already there with travel agents from Manila. So in the last minute, they basically took Anda out and just had it in Panglao and Darwis for now. But as soon as it's open, it will be on our website. So we will have exactly the same requirements and follow the same requirements and legislation what Allan described earlier.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So if there are no more questions, I would just like to remind everyone that we still have sessions tomorrow. We have our first session at 10 a.m. featuring Palawan. So if all of you are guests from different parts of the world, travel agents from Manila, and everyone who's interested in visiting these different places and coming to dive in the different locations in the Philippines, please join us again tomorrow. And we'd like to thank everyone, especially the regional director for Region 7. He has been with us all afternoon answering your questions. And thank you, everyone. And thank you to the speakers.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Allan.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the
See you soon
opportunity.
in the Philippines.
Thank you. Dive Bohol.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone.